Hello and welcome back. Today we are proceeding with the Dalek build from Hachette. We have episode 16 here, which I believe is building the turning mechanism or cog for the Dalek stone. We have our magazine with the grey title or silver title. No Dalek image this week, instead we get straight onto the contents. Adventures in Time and Space looks at the first part of Power of the Daleks, which is the Second Doctor's first story. Time Vortex looks at the various Second Doctor versus the Daleks. So this includes his TV, novels, audios, comics, etc., etc. And then we get our assembly. So let's get this opened and let's get assembling. Here we get our parts, which will loads of different bits here. Let's get the box out of the way for a moment. So we have some CP screws. It was really handy that the magazine and the packaging clearly label what screws are what. If you've been watching the Megazord build I have, then you know Fan Home haven't been inconsiderate. We have some BP screws. We have a whole bunch of BP screws. And then we have some AP screws. We have 4 AP screws. We get, I think this is going to be our various clips and cogs, etc., etc. There's 3 of those and a bunch of those. And we have our cog ring itself. Everything. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get and bring in part of our previous build with the circular plate assembly. I'll put that to one side for the moment. Right, so initially we take the pins, they're referred to as wheel hubs, and locating wheels, and they go over the top of each other like so, and like so. Then taking our ring assembly and turning this upside down, these will clip into the 3 ports along here. So 1. Now in theory these should only fit one way because there is they're a half circle rather than full circle, so it's a case of lining them up and pushing them in. I'm just going to do one of these off camera and get it lined up. Right, I've done all 3 of these off camera because it is a bit of an effort to get them in. The metal obviously won't give in any way, and these are pretty much the exact same size as the hole, so it takes a lot of pressure to get them in. The manual shows them being pushed in top down. It does highlight to be careful about not damaging the motor. The easiest way I've found to get these in is to actually essentially place them on the table surface, line them up, and then push down onto them. That was the quickest and least painful way to get them in. But they're in now, so we have our locating wheels. It then tells us to fit. Yeah, sorry, I thought I'd put the locating wheels in upside down for a second. Fit the caps on the top. And then we're going to be screwing them in with a couple of AP screws. So I'm just going to get these lined up, like so. And a screwdriver. Screwdriver, bring that in. Take our first screw and just screw it in. One, two, and three. Looking at the instructions following this, we're going to need to get the turning plate from the previous issue. So put it on nice and securely. I can go to one side for a moment. Turning wheel from the previous issue. We're going to want some AP screws. That can't be right because no, it's CP screws it wants. The picture, the picture here says AP screws. The instructions say the CP screws, which I believe it is likely to be, given the picture above it does show the CP screws. So just bear that in mind. There is a typing error on this. Right. So turning, so keeping this up this way, and that will then fit over this, supposedly. I don't know how it's supposed. Okay, take the cog support assembly from issue 15 and fit the cog ring to the center so that the raised screw sockets on part 15A fit the large screw holes in 16A. The screw holes are spaced differently on each side so that the rings, the ring is fitted in the correct orientation. So it looks like, okay, I see, I think. Yep, okay, yes, it's the three screw holes this side are narrower on spacing than these ones at the top, which goes here. So it's a case of lining this up the right way and in the correct positions, and when it is, it then essentially sits on slash rests on top, so that like it wants to rest on, but it's not. Why would that be the case? Definitely right before. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the screws and we're going to do it one at a time and see how we go. Let's just rest that on at the moment. Press that one down, and then we can do this one here. See, this one isn't screwing in now, which was what I was afraid of. That's it. That's it. This it's a very tight fit, and it wants to pop up as soon as it's located over all three. So I'm going to keep my pressure down on this, and I'm actually going to do this screw here first, just because this is the one currently popping up. So if I do this one, and then we do this one over here, that seems to be fitting now. There we go. So it's a very tight fit. It wants to pop off all the time the screws aren't in place. Once you start getting the screws in place, it does fit and fits snugly, so it's just a case of putting the pressure on it while you get it lined up and into place. If it isn't fitting over all three ports, then it will not fit properly, and I'm assuming that will affect the running of this going forward. There we go. Oh. So with that done, we take the circular plate assembly and fit it to the top of the cog ring assembly as shown. This will apparently fit into the wheels will fit into the recess of the cog ring. Apparently it will, oh I see, yep. Okay, so it's a case of, there we go. So so there is a small lip here. There's another one here and here. So if you get these rings lined up with it, they will slide on nice enough, and then the cog on the ring will connect here, and then you can see how the cog will eventually turn with it. Looking at the instructions, we're going to need our battery pack from previous issues, so I'm going to get that before we continue. Okay, so we're now going to need to bring in the dome as well. You're going to need to feed this wire through here, so it's like so. And put that to one side for a second as we bring in our Dalek, and I think it wants us to specifically tape some bits down, so let's check. Take the dome assembly from issue 12. and check that all the cables are taped to the inside of the dome, and presumably that's so that the cogs don't get caught up with the wires. So I'm going to get some cable tape, or wire tape, electrician's tape is the words I'm looking for, and I'm just going to make sure everything's nice and taped down. So make sure that's one. Got that. Undo that one. I'm going to fit it so it fits under that eye stalk, so that the eye stalk cable can then rest down there. I'm going to get these taped up off camera. So as you can see, I've now taped everything down. All the wires are out of the way. They're not crisscrossing with each other too much. And now we can then bring in our cog assembly. And this goes upside down. And I believe this part is supposed to go on the, so initially that will go on the opposite side of the eye stalk, I believe. Okay, so there we want to line up our various fix the circular plate to the inside of the dome. There are 9 screw holes around the rim of the plate, which align with sockets on the inside of the rim. Fix in place with 9 BP screws. So we need to line this up. Again, I'm just going to get this lined up off camera. Okay, quickly before I continue, you'll notice that there are 2 screw holes very close together here. That is essentially the front of the cog, and they will fit over the eye stalk points. So if you get those lined up, all the others should be lined up correctly, and you can see there it does rest nicely. So I'm just going to go through and get this screwed in, and then we'll be back. Okay, we've got this screwed in. I have a feeling at some point this is going to have to come out again, because there's still sockets in the circuit board below. That's going to need to be connected somehow. We obviously have this cable here as well, so I suspect this is going to come out at some point, so you may not want to do the screws too tight. So next up we need to carry out our test. So it looks like we want to bring in our testing wires and box, our batteries, all plugged in. There we go. Alright, we want to make sure this is switched off when we plug it in, because we're going to have to turn this upside down and rest it on a box. So I think we'll find that you need to rest this on a box to test it. I think that's too small. Let's see if I can get enough box. Bear with me. So So we have this resting on a box now. In theory, once we turn this off, the dome should start rotating. Or up. Out. So I had to test all that off camera. It's awkward, it does work. It will only rotate in one direction at present, but eventually this will rotate all the way around and everything else. This was obviously just a test to make sure things are working correctly. There we have, so I will get this packed away off screen. So that is the assembly for this week finished. Looking ahead to the next issue, we will be continuing with the dome with a round base and stand columns. We'll also be taking a look at Anatomy of the Dalek with Davros and Genesis of the Daleks Part 4 in Avengers in Time and Space. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, stay safe.